Welcome to another video. While working on my final part of my leveling series and doing some live streams, we figured out some very important things you might want to prepare. Because time is short and Endwalker will be out in exactly 2 weeks when looking at the early access. So while these are just recommendations, there may be a high chance you should consider preparing these steps, but if you really want to get an insanely good summary and theory craft and blueprints of what to prepare in detail for a quick Sage and Reaper starting boost, check out Wesk Albert's video found in the description. Okay, with that out of the way, I'm more focusing on the absolute big deals and those that will take some time to prepare, and you should not hesitate any moment if you want to be part of it. Especially when talking about the possibly best leveling method for Reaper at least, and maybe Sage as well, in the form of the Bozjan Southern Front and Zadnor. The big reason for this is role independency. Yes, what does that mean? Basically that upon the start of Endwalker, all tanks will be stuck in high level content, starting from level 80 into new zones, dungeons and MSQ, while Sage and Reaper that will start at level 70 will definitely run into long queuing times. So if Square doesn't come up with a master plan of idea to work against this fact, you will be stuck in queuing times, even as Sage. Surely you could run dungeons with your trust party, which is offering the advantage of being independent to others and you can perfectly set your own pace, yet this will still be very inefficient because AoE damage is not among the strong arguments of your AI party, as well as damage in general, so the completion time of these is at least 30% slower than on a decent random party, if not much slower than that. So this is where the Bozjan Southern Front or Zadnor come into play. While 700 to 800,000 of experience points for one skirmish doesn't sound like a lot on the first glance, because dungeons will grant up to 6 million XP overall, there's a twist to it, because with a good group, some good spawns and many people participating, you could actually do 10 to 15 skirmishes in the same amount of time of doing one dungeon. Especially when you have unlocked all 3 areas in Bozja or Zadnor, this will grant a constant uptime of these Fate-like events, and you have tons of Aetherites to navigate between them very quickly. According to Mr. Happy, Bozja seems to be the favored zone, but when looking at some of these skirmishes and their objectives, I personally felt Zadnor is the better option. But he's definitely right when it comes to navigation on the map and accessibility of these skirmishes. The best thing though, you don't need anything in preparation other than some basic vendor Crystarium gear, or whatever you might have left over from Poetics, which in the best case should be kept for the Reaper or Sage weapon of your choice. But you could also just farm a whole set of level 70 healer or Dragoon gear to be perfectly prepared for the start. Above that, while Zadnor is locked behind a much further progress in the whole relic weapon questline, Bozja can be done very quickly and you basically just need to do one single story quest and will be introduced to that zone afterwards. The biggest advantage of going further is that you will have potions, abilities and other gimmicks that significantly increase the power level of your character, especially for the Sage. When looking at the Bozjan White Mage DPS, the Sage might even top out the best DPS, with certain potions at hand of course. On the other hand, with a good group or at least good participation, just go in there, hunt down skirmishes and it should definitely be the fastest way possible, except for creating pre-made dungeon groups to grind down Shadowbringers dungeons. Oh, and before I forget, another very important aspect is that you will have access to your level 80 rotation once you enter Bozja or Zadnor, so you can get an early introduction how the new jobs work on later levels, especially because nobody is super dependent on your pixel perfect performance or understanding your job at all, because the pace of Bozja and Zadnor will just take you with it, when at least one hit of your character is registered in each skirmish. But of course, before you start with any of these methods, you should definitely take a look into your spellbook when switching over to Reaper or Sage, especially when a dungeon group relies on your performance. So all in all, it is up to you, and if skirmish grinding is your thing or not. But when you get bored for one method, switching to another totally different one might be the best way of alternating and refreshing your hunger for the tedious level grind. And then it is really a bummer if you haven't unlocked said content, so make sure to at least do the initial questline started in Kugani and check out my level 71 to 80 leveling video found in the description, or wait some more days for the final part of my updated leveling series finale. But like always, where there is light, there has to be shadow, and that counts for Bozja and Zadnor as well, because you need to be level 71 to get started. But don't worry, I got you covered with the next step of preparation. Namely the Wondrous Tails, which has been updated kinda recently to also grant experience points upon basically placing all seals, which is not at all luck dependent, and you can simply spend some second chance points to complete more seals by retrying one task that you can do in under 2 minutes. All the A Realm Reborn Extreme Trials come to my mind here, because you can clear them very quickly with a full level 80 character. But remember that these second chance points are only generated upon doing content with players that never cleared that content. So here's the plan for preparing all of this for your Reaper and Sage. Because each trade-in of the EXP cleared bonus will grant exactly half a level, which means giving 2 of these books to Chloe grant you the exact requirement to unlock access to Bozja or Zadnor. So our goal is to complete the book after the next Tuesday, which is the 9th of November, and before the final Tuesday of the Endwalker Release week, the 16th of November. Because the completed book will not be expired, but a new one will be available on the 16th of November. Yes, that kinda sounds weird, but while your old one is still viable, the new one is there, but Chloe will keep it for you until the next reset, which is the Tuesday afterwards. Nonetheless, make sure to not trade in the book before you have unlocked Reaper or Sage. Just complete it with the least amount of second chance points spent, and after you did that, reclaim those second chance points by spamming some Duty Finder Roulette, which will easily grant those back quickly. Then on Friday the 19th, when you have unlocked Sage or Reaper, go to Idleshire, trade in the first book on the job of your choice, switch to a well-geared level 80 character, let Chloe give you another book, and complete it by using second chance points to retry ARR Extreme Trials, for example. And then switch back to Sage or Reaper and trade in the second book. And voila! You're ready to start into Bozja or Zadnor or gain access to Trust and the big EXP granting Shadowbringers dungeons. Oh, and don't forget about the Pixie Dailies. They are not good for grinding, but make sure to use them for the other new job you're not leveling primarily once your first choice has reached level 80. Because these are basically one dungeon EXP in less than 3 minutes. But remember that you can only do these once per day. Alright, last but not least, the unquestionable most important thing to prepare. Get the right mindset for the expansion. I cannot highlight anything more than taking your time and enjoying the launch of Endwalker. Of course, if you like to speedrun things and want to be the first in something, maybe that is your pace and enjoyment, but I know this doesn't count for everybody, especially those that haven't reached endgame content of the recent expansion yet. It is no problem. We will have Endwalker for 2 years, and believe me, as a veteran player and content creator, you will not fall behind in this game. There is no endless secondary value grind or gear to be optimized in the very first day of an expansion launch. Even now you could easily catch up to the full best in slot gear and don't fall behind those players that have cleared the recent Eden Savage tier a year ago already. So don't rush things over. Nobody will exclude you from content that is ever worth to spend time with. So take your time, your friends, and enjoy whatever Square's having for us. And of course, I will also keep you updated about my personal progress and what you need to know during the expansion. So until then, stay hyped, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.